Matt, I might go back to you in terms of what this translates in real terms for brokers. We've talked through obviously some management strategies, but I wanted to just touch on the area of managing client expectations, because I can imagine that for clients, it would be like, why are you asking all of these additional questions? So what would be your tips for brokers in terms of both explaining why this is important, but also if you have any tips in terms of actually managing that client conversation piece?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the way I would approach it is I would just advise that the lending landscape has changed. As a broker, you can say to your client, we do have a lender who is interested in funding the transaction, and we just need to make sure that we're meeting what they feel is important to get you a swift outcome. As I said, the evolution of commercial lending in this space has been unprecedented, and again, it's about again
Safeguarding.
speaking from a lender's perspective, it is about obviously protecting the capital, and we do understand that it can be hard for clients when it appears that there's an overabundance of questions, and does it get put into this is a too hard basket. But I guess that's the easy way out, isn't it? Just put it in the too hard basket and move on. But it's probably the new norm, as we said before, and I would think that a lot of lenders are taking notice of what's happened in the past 12 months. Being on the front foot of that is really, really important.
And onto that, just from a marketing perspective, the way that I would approach this is we're asking lots of questions to make sure that you're getting funding for the right purpose, and that money doesn't stay lent. So we like no one wants that. So
It's right. It's a form of protection for the
yeah,
broker as well, and that when you have to ring up a finance broker 2 years after a transaction is settled and say, hey, by the way, this is, went down the toilet and we need to have a chat about this, and what did you say here and what did you say there? Can I get a copy of these emails and blah, blah, blah?
yeah.
That can be a confronting conversation, and obviously the broker has discharged their responsibilities to a certain degree, and ordinarily they don't get involved after a certain point. But there can be times when there are judgments and things like that where brokers will have to get dragged in, and they will have to provide documentary evidence. And obviously we hope that that never ever happens, and we try to stop that from happening by addressing all of these things up front, as opposed to 2 or 3 years down the track when everyone's really jaded and it's at the back of your mind, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, no one wants to be in the papers for the wrong reasons. Chris, what would be your recommendations, like at a grassroots ground level, tips that you would suggest brokers take on board in terms of managing client expectations or other?
I think most brokers know the financiers that they deal with day in, day out, and their requirements as well. So I always think about going well informed, understanding what the financier requires, then heading to your client and saying, "Hey, client, let's make this as easy funding or financing as possible, and let's make it a ticker box exercise before we even get in front of the lender." So the well-seasoned brokers would understand that. New brokers coming into the game, that's a bit of key learning. It's really how to make that process easier and faster with the documents that the lenders or the financier needs. And also, it makes the game's all about relationship at the end of the day. So, the broker wants to have that long-term relationship with its client to, be there for the refinances and for the new acquisitions. What better way of understanding and providing the client with that insight into the finance world.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess to that point, it's just presenting the strongest case possible to the lender at that point, because everybody has the same goal, which is to support the business, provide the funding, assuming it stacks up and so forth. So what I'm really taking is just for brokers to have their ducks in a row, and if something seems out, just to pursue it. Because I think it sort of sounds like if there's going to be skeletons in the closet, it's just better to find that out early in the game, because equally, I'm imagining as a broker, you don't want to get halfway down the lending application process and then find out that it doesn't stack up. So my key insight from what you've both said is to really take that time at the front end of the deal, so then you know that it stacks up by the time it goes to a lender.